Okay, Kevin, I need you to make like wind blowing noise into the microphone. Shh. Okay, it's cold out here. I'm on the side of the road. It's 0 degrees. It's wintertime in Western New York. Shh. It's 2 days before the AFC Championship. Who will win? But wait, there's warning lights on my car. My tires are underinflated. I have no washer fluid. What do I do? Have no fear. Universal Imports and the Grease and Glamour podcast are here to solve all of your winter maintenance, car tip needs, survival tips.
I didn't sign up for that skit. That was not a part of the plan.
No.
I'm not a Bills fan. I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah, I know. So today we wanted everybody to wear their Bills jerseys to the shop, and Kevin is a Bucks fan, so he wore a Bucks sweatshirt. So we pasted a Bills logo over top of it. And
Below it. I couldn't cover excellence.
Well, moving on. Anyway, this is the Grease and Glamour podcast. I'm Mark Fierbacher. I am your host. I'm joined with my son, Hunter Fierbacher, and Kevin Ryan.
Hello.
And I've always said about Kevin Ryan's name, probably the one reason he was hired at Universal Imports was he just sounds like a James Bond type character, like Jack Ryan, Kevin Ryan. I mean, he sounds like you should.
Will you
should
stop
be a spy.
telling people that? Now I'm gonna have to kill you.
Do you like your martini shaken, not stirred?
Yes, extra olives.
Extra olives. I just tried olives for the first time when I was out with you and your wife. I'm not a fan.
Oh, I don't like them.
No, me neither. Well, that's not what people want to tune in to listen to us talk about is our taste in olives. We're going to talk about car tips today. And for those of you who do not know, the Grease and Glamour podcast is a podcast brought to you by Universal Imports of Rochester. We are a import car sales, service, collision. I'd like to just call us an emporium, but come on down.
A car emporium.
A car emporium. Yeah. But seriously, we are the place you come for everything related to your car. Whether you just want advice about what to do for your next car or how to fix your car or get your car fixed, get body work done, gussy up your car, as they say, or buy a car, we are there for you. Look us up at universalimports.com. You can always call us 585-381-8677 or text us if you like. All the ways to communicate, we have them. Right, Hunter?
That's right.
All right. So let's talk about winter car prep because the last couple days have been frigid, really
That's
cold.
for sure.
Yeah, that below zero day was pretty rough.
Yeah, and what have we seen in our shop when those single digits come to Western New York?
Well, the first thing, which I think is obvious, but a lot of batteries.
Yeah.
A lot of battery problems. We and not only just not the car not starting, but just overall a lot of electrical issues.
Weird electrical problems. Yep.
So we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of, we got a lot of phone calls of like, man, I have a weird vibration in my steering wheel or in the front end, and car came in and ice packed up in the wheel well.
Yep.
Causes that.
Yep.
Um,
Saw a lot of that.
Cars that sit around for a few days on end, then they go to step on the brakes and they sound like they're grinding, or you get brake pulsation, all of those kinds of things. But
Yep.
I do want to talk about the battery thing for a minute because I don't think a lot of people, in fact, I would say most people do not follow this rule, but they should. I think it'll make everybody's life a bit easier. Maybe not less expensive, but easier. And that is, when is the right time to replace your battery? Because I would say most people listening to this podcast, and including myself, if I'm being honest, have always just replaced their battery when my battery's dead.
Yep.
I go out to start my car. It doesn't start. I call AAA. AAA comes out. They either replace your battery or they tow you into a service center. They do a battery check and they sell you a battery. And it's just such a huge hassle when modern technology has given us insight as to how long your battery will likely last.
Right.
And I'd say anything after 4 years, you're playing with. I was going to say fire, but let's just say you're playing with ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but truly,
Yeah.
4 years old in Western New York, it might be different in Florida. Maybe you can go 5 or 6. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, here we get a lot of. In the summer, it gets hot, which wears on the battery, and in the winter, it gets really cold, which stresses the battery. So we kind of get the best of both. It's a perfect storm for battery wear where we live, just because it's always being pressured. So, I mean, 4 years is definitely. I think after 5 is.
So
is
good
when
rule
you're
of
on
thumb. I told
borrowed
the
time.
technicians in our shop. At first, the protocol was when a car comes in this time of year and we're doing checkovers on those cars during oil changes or during maintenance checks. Let's do an actual battery health check. We do have tools that we can see how the battery's doing, how the cells in the battery are doing. But one thing a lot of shops do not do when they're doing a battery health check, and this is also funny, this goes from the customer waiting till the battery's dead to even the best technicians in the world not using this as part of their battery check, is actually looking on the battery for how old the battery is, because every battery is stamped with its date. And so you don't even have to do a battery health. If the thing is 4 or 5 years old, I would not be recommending I would not be saying to a customer your battery's bad. I would be saying that your battery is 4 or 5 years old.
Right.
Do you want to replace it now before it's a problem? Which we know that within the next probably 12 to 18 months it's going to be.
And I mean, at that point, you're going to need a battery soon anyways.
Right.
So you're going to be paying for a battery anyways within the next year or 2 years. So it's almost like it's preemptively paying for something you're going to need to do and just avoiding the stress of being stuck somewhere. Because a lot of times you wind up getting stuck like when you least want to get stuck.
Right.
Always.
And it's always the worst time when you're always in a rush or you got to be somewhere at a specific time. And your car won't start.
Right.
Like, I couldn't imagine being at a Bills game after a loss and my car doesn't start. I'd probably freak out. I'm not sure I'd survive that.
It'd be slightly better if they won.
Yeah, because you just
You'd be high
tailgate
off
some
of the
more.
win.
Yeah.
All right. So we've established that batteries, 4 to 5 years old, replace it. That's the safe bet. Tires would be the next thing on the list, right? That's the next most obvious thing to talk about when we're talking about winter car tips, winter car prep. Battery, tires, maybe not in that order. Maybe tires first. I don't know. What to talk about tires? Well, there's a couple things. We've got winter tires. We've got all-season tires. We got summer performance tires. Do we call them in the industry snow tires or winter tires?
Snow tires.
Wrong.
It's supposed to be winter tires because you're dealing with more than just snow.
True.
You're dealing with ice, cold temperature. So you're supposed to say winter tire, but it's easy to say snow tire.
Oh, Hunter, the boys at Continental Tire would be so proud of you. Winter tire is the correct terminology, although I would say in the general discussion, most people still say snow tire. But arguably, snow is the thing that it is the least effective against. Slush and ice and wet is what they do the absolute best at.
Right.
Powder and snow is helpful too, but it's really a winter tire.
Yeah.
So what makes a winter tire over an all-season tire?
Well, the first thing is the tread pattern is different. The biggest component is the suppleness of the rubber, so the material.
Nice word.
I know, man.
Was that in your calendar today?
I think I was going to say softer rubber compound. And
Supple.
the suppleness.
Well, I was taking my tire tests.
Oh.
So I'm all studied
What are
up
you?
on this
You
stuff.
you are Continental Master certified. Something?
Yes,
Vocalist.
Yes.
Do you know
that's
what
my-
the exact title is?
Yeah, I'm a Continental certified pro.
Ooh, certified
I
pro.
know. Yeah, that's my biggest accomplishment. No,
Keep that out of the. Don't say that's your biggest accomplishment.
Yeah.
This year.
it's my
So far.
right. It's my biggest tire
But yes,
accomplishment.
the suppleness of the.
Yeah, it's
Rubber
just
compound.
a snow or a winter tire. Jeez.
See?
Yeah, man, messes me up. But a winter tire is a softer rubber, so it can grip the ground better and provide more traction, which makes sense. I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about it logically, the softer something is, the more it will kind of grip and grab. But the two biggest things are the softness of the rubber
Yep.
and the tread pattern.
So, talking about the softness of the rubber, why is it then important to not put your winter tires on too early or take them off too late?
Do you want to stab at it?
I'm going
we
to take
should-
an educated guess
Yeah.
that because if you do it too early or too late, the road or the conditions aren't optimal for those tires, so they'll wear faster and get damaged.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because of the suppleness of the tire. That's the only way I'm going to describe a winter tire from now on. But because of the suppleness of that tire, the rubber wears off a lot faster on dry pavement. So
right. Just kind of tears it up.
yeah, so a lot of people will think that a winter tire is going to wear at the same rate an all-season tire does, and that's not necessarily true. And to add complexity to that whole rubber compound thing, the rubber compound is not the same throughout the whole tire. So, for example, there are some super famous winter tires out there that people used to buy. Like that was the only tire. I don't really want to get into the names because I don't want them coming after me saying, "Hey, why'd you say our tires sucked?" But but there are some tires that were held in very, very high regard, still are. As a winter tire, and they were great for the first season. The next time you put them on, they were nowhere near as good as they were the first season. The third season, they're horrible. You might as well have kept the all seasons on, and that's because they made the first layer so soft and so sticky that it was wonderful. And you're like, man, I can get through anything on this, and it buys you into that tire. But they can't keep that compound throughout the whole tire. It'd be like a gummy bear, right? It needs to
some rigid.
Yeah, needs a stronger layer under that, right, to handle the weight and all of that stuff. So once that first layer came off, it was not nearly as effective. The second season was less effective. The third season,
Like
Right.
icing on a cake. Got the good
exactly.
stuff on top.
Right. It was like eating what are the those are Hostess cupcakes without the frosting on top. I was gonna use Twinkie and I was gonna use Ho Ho, and that didn't work. So
Well, the other thing too to add to it, kind of goes hand in hand with batteries. It's over time, the softness of the rubber, it dries out. So it gets it just over time gets tougher, and the tougher it is, the worse it'll perform, and the more dried out it is, the worse it will perform. And at a certain point, you'll even see the dry rot, like little
Cracks.
little crackings
Yep.
inside the tread and stuff. Same thing with batteries. That's usually after 5 years. I'd say between 4 and 5 years. That's when you'll start seeing that decline in performance.
well, the other thing with a battery could be great and could pass a perfect health test. Then you go through a week of cold weather, really cold weather,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
cell can freeze.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it could have been great a week ago. It passed the test. That's why I think the time interval is important for people to get used to.
Yeah.
Just like tune-ups. I mean, we could talk for hours about how cars used to be so time and mileage interval based for tune-ups and things like that, and all of that got thrown out the window. And I know exactly why it did. When I started, it was really simple. Almost every car brand had a 15,000 mile service, which was a minor tune-up. A 30,000 mile service was a major tune-up, which included usually spark plugs and fuel filter on top of the oil change and air filters that you did at 15. And it just followed that through the whole course of the car. It'd be 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. See, I wouldn't even know those intervals like that if it wasn't for the fact that they were pounding in my head. I would have had to do math.
Yeah.
But they did away with that. And the reason they did away with that is that the car companies, at least in my opinion, wanted to start advertising the fact that their cars needed much less service than their competitors. So that's when you started seeing, hey, you don't have to replace your spark plugs until 100,000 miles, or the 10,000 mile oil change.
Yeah.
I will tell you that you will go into a car dealership today and you will ask a salesperson, when do I do my first oil change? And they will tell you that the manufacturer's recommended first oil change is at 10,000 miles. And you will drive down to the shop down the street that knows what they're doing, and you'll ask them, should I do my oil change at 10,000 miles? And they will say that the industry as a whole wants you to do an oil change every 5,000 miles. Now, when a car is new, little less important out of the gate because it is new, but
there's also a big reason to that and why they do 10,000 miles. So this is also speaks to the whole tune-up interval as to why it's not as frequent anymore by the manufacturer's book. The manufacturer, when they produce a vehicle, they also have to give you an estimated cost per year of maintenance. So every new car has that number. I don't know where you find it. I mean, it's probably somewhere in their website or whatever. Yeah, somewhere. But the manufacturers are trying to stretch every interval as far as they can go so they can advertise a lower cost of maintenance per year.
Right.
So even though it's not really the best thing for the car, it's the optics and the advertisement of saying we have such a low average yearly maintenance cost. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, everybody we know who is mechanically inclined and know cars wouldn't go 10,000 miles.
So we had a situation about a year ago. We were working with a company that offers a notification service to our customers as to when their oil changes are due. And they were stuck on the fact that they wanted to notify customers based on their manufacturer's recommended interval, which is 10,000 miles. We came back to them and said, guys, 10,000 is not when we do oil changes. We do oil changes at 5.
Right.
And they're like, well, we cannot change it because we want to recommend what the manufacturer recommends.
There was a lot of pushback.
So I said to them, I will tell you, the industry, not just me, don't take my word for it, the industry as a whole is 5,000 miles. I did not know that for a fact, but I assumed it. Mm-hmm. I like to assume that I'm right. So for shop owners and for technicians, there are tons of Facebook groups, and I belong to a couple shop owner Facebook groups, and, some of these groups have 10,000 shops in them. So I just went on there and I'm like, hey guys, I just want to take a poll. Where's everybody at with my oil change mileage interval? Literally every single one. There wasn't one dispute. It was 5,000 miles. So I know nationwide 5,000 miles is the number.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I know we segued off of tires really fast, and I want to get back to tires. But oil changes at 5,000 miles, tune-ups at intervals, batteries at intervals, and then tires. Tires are tricky because the other thing is that some of the cars have went away from rotate and balance, and some of the car repair shops have sort of went away from rotate and balance.
Yeah, I mean, some cars you can't do it, period.
Right,
because they're
staggered.
You just can't.
And
it's impossible.
Explain staggered, though, for people who don't know.
Yeah, so some cars have smaller wheels in the front, like not smaller in diameter, but narrower and thicker in the rear. So you can't do that. It will
Can't switch them.
Right.
And you can't switch them left to right because they're directional in a lot of cases.
Right. So there's definitely a lot of things to look out for with that. With tires, so I was talking about how the age of tires are really important. I have a Tire Pro little fun fact here. I'm going to call myself the Tire Pro.
Okay, Tire Pro.
So there's a date code on every tire that's manufactured. It's a 4-digit code. It's on every single tire. I'm super into tires, so I'll check people's date code and be like, oh, like my girlfriend's date code. Hey, do you know when your tires were manufactured? Well, the code tells you the week of what year your tire was manufactured. Oh. So it's a 4-digit code. So if it said it was, if the code was 5217, your tire was manufactured in the 52nd week of 2017.
Okay.
It says it right on the side. And what we think, same thing as an industry, similar to batteries, 5 years for tires is usually the max. Most times, if you're driving with an all-season tire and you just put it on your car and leave it on your car and you do tire rotations and such, you usually won't get to 5 years because a normal amount of driving, you'll hit the mileage before you hit the time. But that comes into importance if you do have a winter tire that's only driven for half of the year, not even half of the year. You may not put all of the miles that it will take to wear the tire out before you hit the time of how long they should last. So it's just something to always keep in mind how old your tires are.
Well, that's a good point. When you have winter tires on, you're sharing the miles between two sets of tires. So when you're looking at the expense of buying winter tires, not everybody needs winter tires, right? There's some people that are like, hey, if it's snowing real bad outside or the roads are horrible, I'm just not going to drive. Okay, great. That person may not need winter tires. But if the person, has a rear-wheel drive car and has to get to work, well, first I recommend they go and trade that car in for a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive, preferably. But, that person's probably a good candidate for winter tires. So the cost of winter tires is offset to some degree by the fact that you're squeezing more life out of your all seasons because you're not using them for almost half the year.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also good. You're actually getting your tires looked at twice a year because they're getting switched on and off. Yeah. You can buy wheels pretty cheap, pretty inexpensively now. So if you're going to buy winter tires, I would seriously consider buying winter tire wheels. So you don't have to mount and balance every 6 months. So those kinds of things. What about underinflated versus overinflated? And one of the things we see in the wintertime a ton in our shop is we put tires on a car. We fill the tire pressure right to where we're supposed to. We reset the tire pressures in the computer. We do everything perfectly right. And the car drives down the road, and a day later we get a phone call going, my tire pressure light has come on. And we unfortunately have to say, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you mind coming back in and we will adjust them? And that is because of why, Kevin?
Temperature.
Yeah.
Because it's cold.
What happens with temperature and tire pressure?
Well, they underinflate because when we put air in the tires, it's warm in the shop. Yep. You drive outside, it's cold.
Expand and contract.
Yeah, I'm
shrinkage.
Yeah, my car right now has low tire pressure light. I got to get it fixed.
Yeah, and you made a point earlier about low pressure in your tires when you're driving.
You do not want underinflated tires because then your tires will be too soft and you can't have the right grip to grip the road and drive safely.
Yeah, because it's actually almost seems like a counter thought, but you actually want a narrower footprint on the road. You want the tire to be skinnier than
bigger is not always better.
In the case of
in tire world.
In the case of how much tire is on the road at any given time, yes. And by the way, this is also important. You look at a tire and you look at the tread on the whole tire. How much of that tire is on the road at any given time. It's literally less than a half a sheet of paper. A half a sheet of paper, if you fold a sheet of paper in half, that's about how much of your tire is actually on the road at any given time.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, man, I've never thought about it like that. But geez, you've got like 2 pieces of paper holding you.
Yeah, that's exactly what,
like
you have 2 pieces of paper
worth of
real estate
traction
wise on the road
for
exactly
a huge machine that goes very fast.
Yep. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
So tires, batteries, oil changes, tune-ups. The basic gist of this is get all that stuff checked out.
I want to talk about car washes in the winter.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people hear different things. Should I wash my car? Should I not wash my car? If it's too cold, should I wash my car? So I think we should be talking about
Not only that, I want to talk about car washes. I want to talk about a couple stories I have about how to track weather when you're in the wintertime. So we're going to shift away from car maintenance and beating that into everybody's head and into some kind of fun little things about how you can manipulate your outcomes for winter driving and travel. That's going to be on the second part of this episode. So we are going to say goodbye on this episode, and you're going to have to catch back up with us on the next episode, which will be coming right after this one. We're going to do 2 in a row, and I'm even going to ask our producer to drop them both at the same time. So
get a double whammy.
Double whammy.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Double. Okay.
All right. Grease and Glamour Podcast is a podcast brought to you by the folks at Universal Imports. Universal Imports, the only place you need to know when it comes to your car. I've come up with a new slogan for our company. Our passion is your car. Does that make sense?
Your car is our passion.
I think I like that better.
Your car is our passion.
Yeah.
Our passion is your car.
What's our producer think?
He's laughing.
I wasn't prepared for that. This
All
part
right,
isn't gonna be-
here are our choices.
Your car is our passion makes more sense to me.
Your car is our passion.
Because our passion is your car is kind of weird.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
It's like your car. I have a crush on you.
All right,
At Universal Emporium, your car is our passion.
we stalk your car.
We should probably end this.
All right. Hey, until next time, this is the Grease and Glamour Podcast. Mark,
Thanks, guys.
Hunter, Kevin.
See you.
We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk more about winter driving prep and things you can do for a safer winter driving experience.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.